Adventure is the wild places. Adventure is where you let your heart out and the world swallows it whole. And you're okay with that, because it's better to be out in the wild places, wouldn't you say? Adventure is different for everyone. For some, it's a cruise, for others, a hike. What everyone can agree on is that it's going somewhere new. This summer, Yuki, Francis, and I traveled to the wildest coast on Vancouver Island, Cape Scott. We got there by renting a car in Victoria and driving the length of the island. Cape Scott Provincial Park is wild. The terrain is rugged and known for violent storms. It receives on average over 8.5 feet of rain annually, and August is better known as Fogust. It's no surprise then that it was overcast when we arrived, and we would get beaten down by the rain on another day. The goal was to visit the Cape Scott Lighthouse on a 60-kilometer round trip. The trail weaves through dense vegetation filled with mud puddles ready to swallow legs, gnarly roots to trip over, and boardwalks to slip off. Adventure, it seems, is a rough and wild place.
So we're somewhere between Fisherman's River and this bike camp. We were originally going to stay at Eric's Lake, and then we decided to go to Fisherman's River, and then now we're decided to go to the beach because we want to go to the beach.
Cape Scott beaches are some of the best around and the only reason you need to visit. On our first day, we camped at Nissan Bight, named after one of the first settlers.
What are you doing, let me away. It's hiding under your butt. Okay. You can do it!
No, it's buried itself. Look, a crab.
Oh.
2 snails. No, 4 snails.
The inside looks like it's pretty fresh. On day 2, we hiked 5.5 kilometers to Nell's Bight, passing the remains of a second settlement attempt and a former farm. We found a spot on the beach beside a washed-up boat. Francis couldn't start the boat, so we went to get water. Meanwhile, Yuki declared that she was going to build a fence.
Where? No.
Does the engine work?
I tried, but I'm afraid the lever is broken. We'll have to.
So often we forget how to enjoy ourselves, caught up in work and living and the future. Out here in the wild, you leave that all behind. Adventure doesn't need to be big, or epic, or legendary. It just needs to be memorable. I'll remember this adventure for the joy and happiness I saw explode out of Yuki as she built her fence with Francis. Yuki was caught up in the moment, this moment, and it was the cutest thing. After dinner, we enjoyed the first of many evening fires started with toilet paper as kindling. We awoke to a cool sea breeze and chased the gulls over the sand. With adventure at heart, we set off on a day hike to the Cape Scott Lighthouse. There are several beaches in the Cape Scott Park, some with names and some without. It seems that each beach has a different type of sand and a different feel to it too. Then there are the pocket beaches. They're my favorite. Small beaches among towering cliffs, where waves smash against the rocks and tides pile driftwood high on the beach. An epic scene, if there ever was one. Soon we arrived at the Sand Neck, where sand dunes connect the north and south beaches of Experiment Bight and Guy's Bay. The sand dunes are a sort of land bridge to the Cape, which was an island long ago. Here we found more Japanese debris brought over the Pacific from the 2011 Tohoku earthquake. The debris is mostly buoys, bottles, and other plastics. The reason for this trip is the Cape Scott Lighthouse. The first lighthouse was established in 1910 on an island off the Cape, but was closed 9 years later due to extreme weather conditions. During World War II, a secret radar station was established. After the war, the Canadian Coast Guard took over and built a lighthouse. We celebrated our achievement with dehydrated ice cream sandwich. Then we talked with the lighthouse keepers, Tard and Harvey, who were kind enough to give us some crab and fresh water. They welcome all hikers and have a guest book to sign.
Marks. Marks. I don't know. Are you filming me?
Yep.
I'm having writer's block.
On the way back, we dipped our hands in Guy's Bay, symbolizing the northern tip of the island. And we would later visit Clover Point in Victoria, the southern tip of the island. Then we found an interesting creature.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, the heads are like swaying about.
This is
oh
disgusting.
my god, that like scares me. I really want to poke it.
Day 4 was the longest day. It rained all day and we hiked the furthest back through the swamplands to Eric Lake. We were soaked. Our rain gear failing, we were in danger of slipping off a boardwalk or tripping over a root. I didn't film any of it. Everyone just wanted to dry off and sleep. The next day was fortunately sunny. Evidence of the downpour littered the trail with mud puddles. But that's what adventure is. It's getting in the thick of it, and the dirt, and emerging triumphant. Over any obstacle, over any terrain. The rain may have been brutal, but it was also what makes this the Wild Coast. In many ways, we were fortunate that it only poured on one day. The trail led us to some big trees, then some trees to crawl through, and then some hanging trees in which we climbed.
Yep. Made it.
Yay!
The last beach we visited was San Josef Beach. It is the most accessible and arguably the best. There are 2 beaches, and we got caught by the tide fetching water from the second. Between the 2 beaches are caves and rock formations known as sea stacks. They make for epic photos and are some of the most distinguishing aspects of the park. We were content. There was no better place to end our adventure out here in the wild places. Thanks for watching. Read our blog at www.adventurearc.com and find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
You're going in circles.
Okay, I'm tired.
What are you swinging was so tiring?
Well, I have to hold on.
How are you gonna get off?
I don't know. Stop me.
I don't wanna.
Hey!